The scream tore from my throat like a live wire, echoing off the walls of our cramped Ohio garage, where the air hung thick with the scent of motor oil and unspoken grudges. You don't get it, do you? You're just like him, always pretending everything's fine while the world's crumbling. My stepbrother, Jax, loomed in the doorway, his fists clenched, those blue eyes I used to idolize now flashing with a storm I couldn't outrun. And then, in the blur of fury and desperation, his hand grabbed my collar, yanking me close, our breaths mingling, hearts pounding in sync before his lips crashed into mine. A kiss that tasted like betrayal and tasted like home. I shoved him away first, my chest heaving as if I'd run a marathon through hell. The garage light buzzed overhead, casting jagged shadows that made Jax look like a stranger. His lips parted in shock, a faint red mark blooming where my ring had scraped his cheek. We were 18 and 19, thrown together 2 years ago when our parents' whirlwind Vegas wedding fused our fractured families into this awkward mosaic of a life in suburban Cleveland. Rowan Hale, that was me, the quiet kid with the sketchbook full of half-drawn dreams, always fading into the background of my dad's endless work trips and my mom's brittle smiles. Jax Whitaker, the golden boy from California, transplanted here with his surfer swagger and easy grins that masked the divorce scars his mom carried like a badge. We'd been oil and water from day one. The introverted artist nursing a secret ache for boys who'd never looked twice. Him, the straight-A jock chasing girls at parties I pretended not to envy. But tonight, after one too many snide comments about my weird vibes during family dinner, the dam had broken. He stepped back, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand, eyes wide like he'd just realized the cliff we'd tumbled over. Rowan. Shit. I didn't mean. His voice cracked. That cocky edge shattered, revealing the raw kid underneath who'd lost his real dad to a car wreck before we even met. I wanted to punch him, to scream that this was wrong, that stepbrothers didn't do this, didn't let the heat of an argument twist into something electric and terrifying. But my body betrayed me, a traitorous warmth pooling in my gut, memories flashing of stolen glances in the hallway, the way his laugh lit up our dim kitchen like summer fireflies. Get out, I whispered, my voice barely audible over the distant hum of traffic on I-90. He did, vanishing into the rainy night without another word, leaving me slumped against the workbench, tasting salt and gasoline on my lips. The next morning dawned gray and unrelenting, the kind of Midwest autumn that seeped into your bones and made you question every choice. I avoided the breakfast table, claiming a headache from studying too late. But Mom saw right through it, her eyes softening with that maternal radar she wielded like a weapon. Everything okay with you and Jax? You two have been like alley cats lately. Dad chuckled from behind his coffee mug, oblivious as ever, scrolling through stock reports on his phone. Our family was a patchwork quilt. Dad's second marriage to Jax's mom after my own mom passed from cancer when I was 15. A union born of grief and convenience more than fireworks. They meant well, buying this fixer-upper in Lakewood to start fresh. But fresh felt like a lie when every creak in the floorboards reminded me of the ghosts we all carried. Jax didn't show for school that day. I texted him once, what the hell was that? But the message sat unread. A digital tombstone. Art class dragged on, my pencil scratching furious lines into the canvas. Abstract swirls of blue and red that bled into each other like bruises. Mister. Ellis, our balding advisor with a penchant for quoting Van Gogh, paused by my easel. Rowan, this is fire. What's eating you? I mumbled something about family drama. But inside, my mind replayed the kiss in loops, the rough stubble on his jaw, the way his fingers dug into my shirt like he was anchoring himself to me. Was it the anger? The beer we'd snuck from Dad's fridge earlier? Or something deeper? A current we'd both ignored because naming it would ruin everything. By lunch, rumors swirled Jax had called in sick. But whispers from the soccer team said he'd punched a locker in the gym after practice yesterday. I sat alone in the courtyard, picking at a soggy sandwich, when my phone buzzed. Not Jax, but Lena, my one confidant. The goth girl from lit class who'd clocked my vibes last year and dragged me to my first Pride sticker haul at the mall. Heard you and Golden Boy had a blowout. Spill. I typed back a vague family stuff. But her reply pierced, liar. If it's about that crush you've been nursing, own it before it owns you. Crush. The word hung like smoke. I'd buried it deep, telling myself Jax's teasing arm slings and late-night video game marathons were just bro stuff. But last summer, during that road trip to Niagara Falls, when he'd stripped down to swim trunks by the motel pool, and I caught myself staring at the freckles dusting his shoulders. Yeah, it wasn't nothing. Home was a minefield. Jax's truck was in the driveway. That beat-up Ford his mom had bought him for his birthday. Mud splattered from off-road joyrides he dragged me on against my will. I slipped in through the back door, heart hammering, only to find him in the kitchen, hunched over a bowl of cereal gone soggy. Our eyes met, and the air thickened, charged like the moment before thunder. Ro, he started, voice low, but I cut him off. Don't. We don't talk about it. Ever. He nodded. Too quick. Relief and hurt flickering across his face like faulty neon. That was our pact. Unspoken but ironclad. Pretend it never happened. Bury it under layers of normalcy. But as I grabbed a soda from the fridge, our hands brushed, and the spark jumped again. Invisible but searing. Days blurred into a fragile routine. School, where we'd nod in the halls like polite strangers. Home, where we'd trade barbs over dinner about trivial shitwoes, turn it was to mow the lawn. Why the Wi-Fi sucked. But at night, alone in my room with posters of indie bands peeling at the edges, I'd trace the ghost of his mouth on mine, wondering if he did the same. Jax threw himself into soccer, coming home bruised and exhausted, collapsing on the couch with ice packs and forced laughs. Once, I caught him staring at me across the living room, his expression unreadable, before he muttered, "Pass the remote," and the moment shattered. It was 2 weeks later. At the Harvest Festival in the town's square corn mazes and hayrides under strings of orange lights that the crack widened. Mom and Dad were tipsy on mulled cider, dancing like teenagers, leaving us to wander the booths alone. The air smelled of caramel apples and wood smoke, laughter bubbling from families clustered around fire pits. Jax bought us both cotton candy, the pink fluff sticking to our fingers as we leaned on a fence, watching kids chase glow sticks. Remember when we were that clueless? He said, his shoulder brushing mine. I swallowed hard, the proximity igniting memories I'd sworn to forget. Yeah. Simpler times. Our eyes locked, and for a heartbeat, the world narrowed to just us, the festival noise fading. The line we'd crossed looming like a dare. He turned away first, tossing his stick into a trash bin. Race you to the maze. It was a deflection, but I took it. Our sneakers pounding the dirt path as we plunged into the cornstalk labyrinth. Stalks whispering secrets in the wind. Laughter escaped us, genuine for the first time in weeks. Until we hit a dead end. Chest heaving. Faces inches apart. The moon filtered through the leaves, silvering his hair. And before I could think, I whispered, "Why'd you do it?" His breath hitched. Because I was scared. Of you leaving. Of everything changing. And then it just happened. The admission hung, vulnerable and electric. I reached out, fingers grazing his jaw, and he didn't pull away. Our lips met again, softer this time. Exploratory, a question wrapped in longing. Hands tangled in hair, bodies pressing close against the rough stalks. The kiss deepened, tasting of sugar and sin. A promise we both knew we couldn't keep. We stumbled out of the maze flushed and disheveled, rejoining the crowd like nothing had shifted. But everything had. That night, in the truck on the way home, his hand found mine in the dark cab, squeezing once before letting go. No words, just the weight of what we'd ignited. Back in my room, I lay awake, heart racing with a cocktail of terror and thrill. This wasn't just a line. It was a fault line, threatening to swallow our world whole. Yet, in the quiet, I felt alive, seen, wanted in a way I'd never known. Little did I know, the real quake was coming, one that would test if love like ours could survive the rubble. The following Monday, school felt like walking a tightrope over an abyss. Every glance from Jax across the cafeteria sent my pulse skittering, his blue eyes holding secrets that made the fluorescent lights buzz louder. We'd agreed no talking, no touching, but the silence amplified everything, turning mundane moments into minefields. In biolab, partnered by cruel fate, our knees brushed under the table as we dissected frog innards, and I swear the scalpel trembled in my grip. "Careful, Ro," he murmured, voice pitched low for only me, a teasing lilt that masked the undercurrent of heat. I shot him a glare, but my cheeks burned. The frog's slick skin a poor distraction from the way his forearm flexed when he pinned the specimen. Lena cornered me after class, her black lipstick curled in suspicion. "You're glowing. Hail." "Spill the tea." I deflected with a joke about cafeteria mystery meat, but she wasn't buying it. We'd bonded over shared outcast status, her with her queer, witch aesthetic, me with my sketchy crushes, but admitting this to Jax, of all people, it felt like tempting fate. Just family weirdness, I said, slinging my backpack higher. She arched a brow. The hot stepbrother kind. "Girl, if it's mutual, don't screw it up." Her words lodged like thorns. Because it was mutual, wasn't it? That maze kiss was an anger-fueled impulse. It was deliberate, hungry, a confession in motion. Home brought no reprieve. Mom was planning Thanksgiving, her famous pumpkin pie, and Dad's burnt turkey tradition, but the domestic hum grated against the tension coiling in my chest. Jax and I orbited each other like wary planets, passing in the hallway with clipped "Hey yes," sharing the bathroom sink with averted eyes while toothpaste foamed. One evening, As rain lashed the windows, I found him in the basement, pounding a heavy bag Dad had set up for his training. Sweat gleamed on his torso, shirt discarded, muscles rippling under skin marked by a faint scar from a skateboarding wipeout. I froze in the doorway, sketchbook clutched like a shield. What? He panted, not stopping, gloves thudding rhythmically. Nothing. Just needed laundry. Lie. I'd come down on autopilot, drawn by the muffled thumps vibrating through the floorboards. He paused, unzipping the gloves with his teeth. That casual move sending a jolt through me. Rowan, we gotta talk about this. His voice was rough, edged with frustration. I backed up a step. No. We said we wouldn't. But he advanced, closing the distance, the air between us crackling. You think ignoring it makes it go away. That kiss both of them it meant something. To me. At least. His confession hung, raw and reckless, blue eyes searching mine for absolution. My throat tightened, words tumbling out in a rush. It can't mean anything. Jax. We're. Us. Steps. And I'm gay. The word stuck. But he knew. Had known since that party last spring when he'd walked in on me making out with a guy from the art club behind the bleachers. He'd covered for me, distracting the crowd with a fake fight, but never mentioned it after. I know, he said softly, reaching out to tuck a stray curl behind my ear, his touch lingering. And I don't care. Or maybe I do. But not like that. It's you. Ro. Always has been. The basement spun, his admission cracking open floodgates I'd sealed shut. I surged forward, capturing his mouth in a kiss that was all teeth and need, hands fisting his damp hair as he groaned into it, backing me against the washer with a clang. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, the dryer humming like a conspirator. This is insane, I whispered, but my fingers traced his collarbone, memorizing the terrain. He chuckled, low and broken. Yeah, but feels right. We didn't go further, not yet a creak of floorboards above a stark reminder of our fragile cover. Instead, we sat on the worn couch, knees touching, sharing stories in hushed tones, his fear of turning out like his absent bio-dad, a charming ghost who'd bailed, my nights staring at the ceiling after Mom's funeral, wondering if love was just a pretty lie. Vulnerability wove us closer, threads of trust amid the chaos. But secrets fester. A week later, disaster struck in the form of Coach Harlan's clipboard. Jax's grades had slipped too many late nights. Too much distraction, and soccer scouts from Ohio State were sniffing around. Get your head in the game, Whitaker. The coach barked during practice, which I watched from the bleachers, pretending to sketch the goalposts. Jax nodded, jaw set. But afterward, he stormed over, helmet dangling. This is because of us, isn't it? I can't focus. Guilt twisted my gut. Then stop. We stop. But his eyes pleaded no. And when he pulled me into the equipment shed for a frantic, hidden kiss, I didn't resist the taste of turf and triumph on his tongue, a drug I craved. Thanksgiving loomed like a guillotine. Family arrived, Aunt Clara with her prying questions. Uncle Ray with his bad jokes. The table groaned under turkey and sides. But under it, Jax's foot nudged mine. A Morse code of reassurance. Laughter rang hollow as Dad toasted to new beginnings. His eyes misty, oblivious to the storm brewing. That night, post-feast stupor settled. Jax slipped into my room. Door clicking shut. Couldn't sleep, he murmured, sliding under the covers fully clothed. His body a warm anchor against mine. We didn't speak of lines crossed. We just held on, breaths sinking in the dark. His heartbeat a lullaby against my chest. For the first time, the house felt less like a cage and more like a cocoon. Yet dawn brought reality's bite. Mom knocked. Boys. Breakfast. And Jax bolted. Mussed hair and rumpled shirt his only evidence. Downstairs, we played normal passing the syrup. Debating football, but her gaze lingered. Sharp. You two seem closer lately. Jax choked on his orange juice. I forced a laugh. Blame the turkey coma. It bought time. But cracks showed. Lena texted during school, spotted you and Jay in the parking lot. Holding hands. Bitch. Details. Panic surge. I hadn't realized the truck's tinted windows weren't foolproof. It's complicated, I replied. But complication was understatement. Winter gripped Cleveland. Snow blanketing the streets in deceptive peace. Jax and I carved stolen moments. A hurried make-out in his truck after curfew. Fogged windows shielding our world. Whispered confessions during movie nights. His hand tracing patterns on my thigh under the blanket while parents dozed. Romance bloomed in fragments. Mixtapes of the Killers and Arctic Monkeys slipped under my door. Doodles of intertwined initials on napkins. But kitsch tin simmered. At a holiday party, Jax's ex, Brittany, cornered him. All glossy hair and accusations. You're different. Seeing someone. He laughed it off. But her eyes flicked to me across the room. Suspicion brewing. The real fracture came New Year's Eve. Fireworks planned downtown. But a blizzard trapped us home. Parents tipsy on champagne. We retreated to the attic, our forgotten sanctuary. Boxes of old comics and Christmas lights tangled like veins. To us, Jax toasted with stolen bubbly. Clinking plastic cups. The kiss that followed was slow. Reverent. Evolving into exploration, shirts shed. Hands mapping uncharted skin under the glow of bulbs. His touch was tentative. Reverent, tell me if it's too much, and mine eager. Guided by instinct and ache. We crossed further lines that night. Bodies entwining in a dance of discovery. Gasps muffled against shoulders. The world reduced to sweat-slicked sheets and whispered names. Afterward, tangled in sleeping bags, he traced my ribs. I love you. Ro. The words landed like snowflakes. Soft, but accumulating weight. Love you too. I breathed. But doubt whispered, how long could we hide? Morning brought hangover groans from below. And we descended separately. Faces schooled neutral. But Mom waited in the kitchen. Arms crossed. I saw the attic light last night. And Jax's truck prints in the snow leading to your window. Her voice trembled. Not anger, but fear. What's going on? Denial died on my tongue. Jax appeared. Pale. Mom. It's We're together. The confession hung. A grenade pin pulled. She didn't scream. Instead, tears welled. Oh. Boys. Dad joined. Confusion etching his brow. But his hug surprised me fierce. Affirming. As long as you're happy. Son. Relief crashed. But Jax's mom, arriving later, exploded. This is unnatural. Steps. You're ruining everything. Her homophobia, buried under polite veneers, erupted. Ultimatums flying, therapy, separation, divorce threats. The house fractured, arguments echoing like aftershocks. We clung through it. Jax's hand in mine under the table during tense dinners. My sketches now portraits of us tender. Defiant. Spring thawed the snow, but not the rift. Counselors were called. Family meetings a battlefield. Yet in stolen walks by Lake Erie, wind whipping our coats, we'd reaffirm, we'll make it. Romance persisted picnics in hidden parks. His jersey draped over my shoulders at games. But pressure mounted. Scouts pulled back. Jax's dreams dimming. It's worth it, he'd say. But shadows lingered in his eyes. Summer scorched. Bringing escape, a road trip to the coast. Parents' uneasy blessing. California highways blurred. Jax's hand on my knee. Radio blasting indie anthems. Beaches beckoned. Waves crashing like applause. In a secluded cove, under stars, we made love again. Salt-kissed and free. Forever? He asked. Yeah, I promised. But back home, reality clawed, his mom's lawsuit threats. Whispers at school. Lena rallied allies' pride groups. Online forums reminding us love's worth the fight. Climax hit autumn. Jax's birthday. A party turned ambush, his mom crashing. Drunk and raging. Outing us publicly. My son's confused because of you. Shouts drew crowds. Phones flashing. Humiliation burned. But Jax stood tall. Arm around me. I love him. Deal with it or leave. She stormed out. But the damage rippled, friends ghosting. Scouts vanishing. Alone that night. Tears flowed. We crossed too many lines. I sobbed. He held me. And I'd do it again. For us. Healing was slow. Human. Family therapy unearthed pains, his abandonment fears. My grief isolation. His mom softened eventually. A tearful apology over coffee. I was scared of losing you. We rebuilt. Boundaries redrawn, but love intact. College loomed Ohio State for him. Cleveland Institute of Art for Medorms miles apart. But visits promised. On graduation eve, under the same garage light, he kissed me soft. No more unspoken lines. I smiled. Heart full. Just ours. In the end, that first argument birthed truth. Teaching us love defies labels. Mends what argument breaks. We emerged scarred but whole. Stepbrothers, no more partners. In a world that learned to see us. The fallout from mom's discovery lingered like a bad aftertaste. Sweet champagne turned vinegar. Days stretched into a tense standoff. The house divided not by walls, but by whispers and slammed doors. Jax and I retreated to neutral territories, the local library with its musty stacks. where we'd huddle in corners, knees knocking under tables as we pored over queer lit like Bibles. Audre Lorde on Love's Revolution. James Baldwin on The Fire Next Time. "This is us," he'd say, underlining passages with a stubby pencil, his free hand squeezing mine when the librarian's back turned. Those moments were lifelines, fragile threads pulling us from the brink. But home was war zone. Dad tried brokering peace, his engineer logic mapping solutions on napkins' family calendars, chore rotations as if logistics could mend hearts. "We're all adjusting," he'd say, clapping Jax on the back too hard. Mom, ever the mediator, baked pies that no one ate, her eyes darting between us with a mix of pride and pity. Jax's mom, Ellen, was the wild card, her California tan fading under Ohio pallor, voice sharp as she cornered me in the laundry room. "You're poisoning him, Rowan. He's got a future: soccer, college. This phase will ruin it." Phase. The word stung like salt in wounds, reducing our stolen nights to a teenage glitch. I wanted to scream that it wasn't a phase, that the way Jax looked at me like I was his North Star was as real as the ache in my chest. Jax overheard. Of course. That night, he found me on the roof, accessed via the rickety attic ladder, stars pricking the black sky like accusations. "Don't listen to her," he said, settling beside me, our shoulders touching in that now familiar way that sent sparks skittering. The air was crisp, carrying scents of leaf mold and distant bonfires. "She's scared. Dad left because of me. Or so she thinks, blames herself for not fighting harder." His vulnerability cracked me open. I leaned into him, head on his shoulder. "And you? Scared?" He was quiet, then terrified. "Of losing you. Of this being all we get." We kissed there, slow and deep, the universe wheeling above as if approving. Hands roamed under jackets, but we stopped at the edge, breath ragged. "Not here," he murmured. "Not like this." School amplified the pressure cooker. Whispers followed us Jax's teammates side-eyeing during drills. My art circle buzzing with speculation after Lena's enthusiastic overshare. "It's official. You and Whitaker. Iconic." She gushed in the hall, black nails drumming my locker. I shushed her, but pride swelled, a quiet rebellion. Still, the stairs burned. A homophobic slur scrawled on my sketchbook during open studio made my hands shake as I erased it, ink smearing like blood. Jax found out, fury etching his face. "Who?" I shrugged it off. "Doesn't matter," but he marched to the principal, demanding action, his protectiveness a bomb and a burden. Winter break brought a twisted gift, a family cabin trip to Hocking Hills. Dad's idea of bonding amid forested trails and crackling fireplaces. The drive was silent torture, suitcases rattling like bones in the trunk. Ellen sat shotgun, lips pursed. Mom chattered about esmores to fill the void. The cabin was rustic charm log walls, a stone hearth, but tension crackled hotter than the flames. First night, after forced charades and stilted stories, Jax and I escaped to the porch, snow dusting our boots. "This is hell," he muttered, pulling me into the shadows. Our kiss was desperate, a defiance against the walls closing in. Inside, Ellen's voice carried. They're too close. It's unhealthy. The word unhealthy lodged in my throat like a fishbone. Hikes the next day were minefields. Trails wound through ancient woods. Fog clinging to ferns like secrets. Jax and I lagged behind. Hands brushing leaves. Sharing a thermos of cocoa laced with whiskey from Dad's flask. Remember our first road trip? He asked. Voice soft. Niagara. Yes, the falls thundering like our pulses. Motel swims where I'd first noticed how his laugh lit his eyes. Best week, I said. He grinned, stealing a sip, lips brushing the rim where mine had been. But ahead, Ellen waited at an overlook, arms crossed. Hurry up, boys. It's getting dark. Her tone dripped implication, and Jax's jaw tightened. That evening, around the fire, truths erupted. Dad poked the logs, sparks flying. Let's air it out. No judgments. Silence stretched. Then Ellen unleashed. This relationship, it's wrong. Steps. It's incest adjacent. And Rowan, you're leading him astray. Incest. The word detonated. Ugliness twisting her features. Mom gasped. Dad's face hardened. Ellen, that's enough. But Jax stood, voice steady. It's not wrong. I love him. End of story. I rose too, hand finding his. We're not hurting anyone. Tears streaked Ellen's face, anger melting to grief. I just want normal for you. Normal. The myth we'd chased, only to find it hollow. The talk dragged into night, voices rising and falling like wind through pines. Dad shared his own regrets staying in a loveless first marriage too long, missing my childhood. Mom admitted fearing she'd failed me after the cancer. Ellen confessed her terror. Your father left because I wasn't enough. Now you. It's like losing you too. Empathy cracked the ice. Jax knelt by her chair, taking her hand. You won't lose me, Mom. But you have to let me be me. Hugs followed. Tentative. The fire dying to embers as we forged a truce therapy sessions. Boundaries. But acceptance's seed planted. Back in Cleveland. Change bloomed slow. Spring soccer season. Jax shone. Scouts returning with cautious nods. I sold my first sketch at a local gallery show, a portrait of us as silhouettes against a stormy lake. Titled Unspoken, fetching $50 that we spent on a diner date. Burgers and shakes under neon glow. Lena cheered loudest. Her network expanding our circle. Queer youth group meetings at the community center, where stories of coming out wove solidarity. Yet kitsch tin shadowed romance. A rival jock, jealous of Jax's spotlight. Spread rumors, Whitaker's playing for the other team now, leading to locker room shoves. Jax fought back once, bloody lip and all. But I pulled him aside after. Don't let them win. He nodded. But bruises bloomed. My own battles, Dad's awkward talk about safe sex. Pamphlets clutched like grenades. Proud of you, son. Just be careful. Careful. The word chafed, but his effort warmed. Summer solstice brought liberation, pride in Columbus. A riot of rainbows and chants. We drove down. Windows down. Playlist blasting Lady Gaga and hosier. The parade was euphoria floats bedecked in glitter. Drag queens lip-syncing anthems. Our hands linked high. Jax, in a bi flag pin, his quiet coming out to me months prior, shouted with the crowd. This is living. At an after-party in a warehouse. Bodies swaying to EDM. We danced close. Sweat slick and free. His lips on my neck a promise. Hotel room later, slow undressing. Candlelight flickering. Bodies joining in rhythm with the city's pulse. You're my everything. He whispered post-climax. Fingers interlaced. But fall heralded storms. College acceptances. Him to OSU on partial scholarship. Me to CIA. Only an hour apart, blessing and curse. Packing boxes filled our garage. Ghost of that first argument. Ellen helped now. Folding shirts with sighs turned soft. I was wrong. You make him happy. Her apology. Full and fierce. Sealed wounds. Halloween party at Lena's. Costumes as superheroes. Capes swirling. Jax as Superman. Me as his sidekick cheesy. But us. Amid beer pong and horror flicks. A drunk kiss in the backyard drew cheers. Not sneers. Progress. Thanksgiving redux. Table set with hope. Toasts to resilience. Post-dinner walk. Leaves crunching. Jax stopped under streetlight. Marry me. Someday. Half joke. Half vow. I laughed. Kissing him. Someday. Winter break. OSU visit. Dorms buzzing. His roommate cool with the boyfriend. We explored campus. Future tangible. Back home. New Year's. Fireworks over the lake. His arms around me. To lines crossed and remade. Spring break road trip. Route 66 echoes. Motels and diners. In the Grand Canyon. Rim's edge. He proposed for real ring from his savings. Simple band. Will you? Tears blurred. Yes. Summer wedding. No small commitment ceremony. Family and friends in backyard. Vows exchanged under oak. In arguing, we found truth. In crossing, love. Years later. Married. Adopted kid named after mom. We look back, that line wasn't end. But beginning. Human. Messy. Profound love's ultimate lesson. As the ink dried on our commitment, papers nothing legal yet. Just a notarized promise in Ohio's gray bureaucracy life accelerated. A whirlwind of part-time jobs and pre-college jitters. Jax waitressed at the local diner. His charm netting tips from truckers who rumbled stories of open roads. I bartended at a dive near the lake. Mixing drinks for night owls while sketching patrons' faces in margins of napkins. Money was tight. But it bought freedom, late-night drives to empty beaches. Where we'd park the truck. Tailgate down. Bodies tangled under blankets as waves lapped accusations away. One such night. August heat clinging like a lover. Jax traced constellations on my chest. Think we'll make it. The distance. The world. His voice was small. Vulnerability peeking through the jock facade. OSU's fall semester loomed. Columbus's sprawl swallowing him while I stayed rooted in Cleveland's rust. We will. I said. Kissing his temple. Tasting salt. We've survived worse. But doubt not stories from the queer group of long-distance heartbreaks. Couples frayed by miles and misunderstandings. First week of classes hit like a freight train. Jax's texts were sporadic, buried under syllabi and drills. Miss you. Practice killed me. Mine. Frantic sketches of empty beds. Weekend visits became ritual. Hitching Amtrak. Him meeting at the station with coffee and that grin that undid me. Campus was a revelation. Queer alliance meetings in student union basements. Rainbow flags snapping in autumn gusts. This is your world now. I teased. But envy twisted me. Art school deferral for finances left me feeling stranded. Subplot deepened with a new friend, Tyler, Jax's roommate. All easy smiles and shared history from junior league soccer. Texts I saw over breakfast hit the bars tonight. Stirred jealousy. Irrational but potent. He's straight, Jax assured during a phone call. Voice tinny through static. Just blowing off steam. But steam built. A video call caught them laughing. Tyler's arm slung casual. And my stomach nodded. Am I enough? I blurted. Silence. Then, always. Come down soon. I did. Train rattling through cornfields. Arriving to find Jax waiting. Cap backward. Eyes lighting like home. The dorm was chaos, posters of messy laundry piles, but we carved space. Bodies fitting like puzzle pieces on his narrow bed. Tell me everything, he murmured, hands exploring familiar paths. Stories flowed, his lit class dissecting Whitman. My boss's homophobic rant at the bar. Laughter mingled with moans, reaffirming us. But tension simmered. Ellen's calls increased. Laced with concern, is he eating? Partying too hard? Her protectiveness. Once venom. Now honeyed worry. Mom sent care packages, granola, and notes. Love is action. Boys. Dad's golf invites for Jax hinted at mending.